UFC Fight Night Vegas 105, Emmett versus Murphy was this past weekend. I'm going to be giving my entire breakdown and recap of the entire card, starting from the very early prelim all the way to the main event. Yes, I'm in a different room. You can see a cat over there. It's my girlfriend's cat. You can say hello. But we're going to get going here, okay? Because I have a lot to talk about, all right? This card was pitiful, truly. I already recorded this, so it's going to be hard to capture the true emotion, but all I got to do is actually think about the fights, and I'll get there. All right, so starting with the very early prelim, Vanessa Demopoulos versus Talita Alankar. So it was a women's fight. Very casual women's fight, boring, dull, uneventful.
As per usual.
Yes, as per usual. The missus knows, guys. But, yeah. Dull, boring. They're both bad. Demopoulos should get cut. She has no skill or will to hurt another human being. Alankar had 12 and a half minutes of control time. So Demopoulos just got absolutely fucked on the ground, essentially, and did not do anything, while Alankar just kind of sat on top in half guard and would just kind of throw down occasional punches and would do a little bit of damage, but that was really it. Women's MMA has been on a hot streak recently, really, but, this week kind of brought us back to reality. I mean, decent win from Talita Alankar, but it's Vanessa Demopoulos, okay, and you're on the opener of an Apex. You really can't get much lower here, but, it was a dull fight, but it was fun compared to the rest of the card. Moving up the card, Martin Bidet versus Uran Salty Baldiev. So Sati Baldiev took this fight on a few days' notice. He was a light heavyweight, 9-0, regional guy, stepped up on short notice at an upperweight class against Martin Bidet, the GOAT, the great Martin Bidet. Mr. 15-2 himself, Martin Bidet. I think the cat is messing with the background. But, yeah, I mean, Martin Bidet, the fact that this guy is a professional heavyweight fighter. This guy's a fighter. Did you see his fucking gut jiggling around during the fight? I mean, it was just, what are we watching? Say hello to Simba, everybody. Now, that was pitiful. The fight, I mean, it was just sad to watch. It really was. And Martin Bidet is not good, but he did more than Uran Sati Baldiev. And to be honest, anyone who's saying this was actually a robbery, I think people were just saying it was a robbery because people like Oralbai, and he's, similar race, religion, all that good stuff to Oralbai. But, Martin Bidet won this fight. Obviously. He had 5 minutes of control time during the fight. A lot of that was him holding him against the cage, which is, I guess, something that we have to really, contribute to fighting now is, stalling and holding them against the cage. I guess that's a valuable factor now in fights. But in the boxing range, Martin Bidet was just absolutely piecing him up. I mean, it wasn't like he was putting on a clinic, like a Manel Cap clinic, but he was doing better in the boxing exchanges. Baldiev had, bigger shots. You could tell he had a little more oomph on them, and he had more technique behind it because he's a light heavyweight. But up a weight class, short notice, you could tell it got to him. He was 9-0 going into this fight, lost to the great Martin Bidet. Martin Bidet, that fat fuck is about to be a ranked heavyweight. This is the state of MMA. This card is the true state of MMA right now. I don't want to get too angry. I have someone else to get my anger out on, Torrez Finney. Moving up the card, Victor Henry versus Pedro Falcao. So this was about what I expected. Pedro Falcao spamming takedowns, not really wanting to engage in a fight either, but Victor Henry was just doing a much better job at keeping it active because he was, Falcao had his moments and he would land some big strikes and he landed takedowns. I mean, he was able to take down Victor Henry. I mean, Henry's not the best anti-grappler in the sport, but he did a very, very good job of reversing position, getting on top, and just simply being more efficient and active on the ground than Pedro Falcao. And then on the feet, he was doing a lot better than him, landing more strikes, being more effective. And, Victor Henry had a lot of control time on the ground, too, so he had a lot of success in this fight. And he hurt him bad. Hurt Pedro Falcao bad in the third round, I believe. Hurt him bad. I thought he was going to be out of there, but he wasn't able to get the finish. But, still a good win from Victor Henry. Nonetheless, this was unfortunately one of the more exciting fights. This was a decent fight. This was probably the third most exciting fight on the card. Take that in. Moving up the card. Loma Luke Boone versus Estela Nunez. Okay, guys, this one pissed me the fuck off, all right? Loma Luke Boone, I got excited for her being back. She hasn't fought in a minute. I feel like it's been years now. Like, it might have been a couple of years since she's fought. From Thailand, great Muay Thai style. And she goes out there and she puts on, like, a mediocre performance. Like, she looked okay. But to be brutally honest, she went for the takedowns. I didn't expect that. She had, nearly a round worth of control time. Estela Nunez is terrible. She's now 6-6 as a pro mixed martial artist. You're 6-6, and you're in the UFC. In the strawweight division, the most skilled women's division. You pull out 2 weeks, why was she scheduled to fight Molly McCann? Pulls out on, a week and a half notice. Sayonara, Molly McCann gets thrown to the fucking wolves to Sayonara, and then Nunez gets put on a card 2 weeks after the London card. How does this make sense? Was she injured or not? Or did the UFC just scrap the fight because they wanted Molly McCann to lose? I don't know. Or do they just want Nunez to win because she's got the last name? I don't fucking know anymore. The UFC just has... These shows are pathetic. And it's sad to watch. I'm not even kidding. This was honestly one of the worst cards I've had to watch in a minute. Sit through. It was just... Well, Loma Luke Boone, she did okay. She looked alright. She got a win. She got a decent win. I just didn't expect that style from her, and this was a very dull and uneventful and boring fight. Casual women's fight. But, decent win from Loma Luke Boone. If Estela Nunez gets another fight, she will become 6-7. She will have a losing professional mixed martial arts record if she loses her next fight and is in the UFC. In the most skilled women's division, I just don't... What world are we living in right now? I don't get it. Alright, well, moving up the card. Reese McKee versus Daniel Frunze. Okay. So, I don't understand... how am I supposed to pick the guy who's 0-4 in the UFC? And he's Irish, so clearly he got in the UFC for, jack shit. I know Reese McKee was decent when he was coming into the UFC. He was 13-2 or something. But yeah, I believe he's 0-4 in the UFC. And this guy goes out there and he wasn't even, Frunze had to get caught in his camp. He had to get dropped or something had to happen. He had to get somewhat concussed. I don't know what went on with Daniel Frunze. Because, he just gets dropped 3 times in the first round, early in the first round. It wasn't, across the round. I'm pretty sure all 3 came early in the round, and then Frunze started fighting better after he was already concussed. I guess that's a way to fight. It wasn't like Reese McKee was just, in the zone and landing, oh, what a big hook from McKee. Oh, what a straight right from McKee. No. He was catching him on the end of shots. It was good technique, but he was just kind of, punching him. You should take that shot if you're a pro MMA fighter, especially one in the UFC. But Frunze just got destroyed, and then the damage on his face was brutal. And that's why they had to stop it after the first round. Now, could it have been worse? Absolutely. Could this fight have continued going on? Absolutely. They let Benoit Saint Denis nearly get to a third fucking round. They nearly let that get to a third round. And after the first, Benoit was fucking... you all saw his face at the end of that. But then you don't let Daniel Frunze go another round? I get it's not the main event, whatever, but... Still, I felt that was a little early, but I understand it. The damage was there. It was apparent, and, you want to save the fighter. But for some reason, I just don't understand why Frunze started fighting better and winning in boxing exchanges after. after he got dropped 3 times. Like, I don't. There needs to be a chromosome counter. MMA Guru's been saying it. There needs to be a chromosome counter, an IQ test. Those numbers need to be on the tail of the tape because it's really noticeable now. All right, moving up the card. Diana Belbita versus Dion Barboza. What a fight. First round finish. This was boring. It was dull. It wasn't fun. They were just kind of like standing and looking at each other on the feet and, would swing for all fucking glory and whiff on almost everything. And then Dion Barboza finally gets a takedown towards the end of the round, gets her down. She's just kind of like laying in half guard, and then she just kind of like falls into an arm triangle after Belbita just has absolutely no sense of where she is on the ground. And then Barboza just kind of like lands an arm triangle, like she just kind of like falls into it and gets it towards the end of the first round. Good win. You got to finish, and you're a woman. I mean, that's pretty great. But Diana Belbita's terrible, and this was the prelim headliner. Good win from Dion Barboza, I guess. All right, moving up the card. Torrez Finney versus Robert Valentin. Okay, this is the one I need to talk about, guys. Obviously, the main event. I'm going to talk about a little more than this, but Torrez Finney got rewarded for not fighting, for grabbing for dear life, and having zero confidence or skill on the feet. I saw this dude absolutely sleep somebody on the regional scene with a beautiful overhand. You're shorter than guys. Get in the boxing. Boom, big overhand. That's how he should fight. So I got excited. I'm a Torrez Finney fan, or at least I was. But after this fight, I want him jailed. Okay, guys. He needs to be cut. Seriously, though. He does need to be cut. This performance is pitiful. It's embarrassing. You're wanting to watch a fight. You come home. Imagine you worked. It's not Saturday, but imagine you had to work. You come home after a long 8-hour shift. Yes, let's go UFC. I can finally watch the main card. Main card opener. Torrez Finney. Robert Valentin. 2 young prospects. Finney's undefeated. Look how big this dude is. Clearly he's going to be, he's going to be strong. He's going to slam him. No. Torrez Finney will pick you up. He will pick you up, and then he has you right here like he's about to slam you with all the big muscle that he's got, and then he will sit you down like a fucking child in a crib. He literally had Valentin over his shoulder, and then instead of throwing him to the ground or doing any effective damage with it, he placed him down like he's trying to be gentle. He doesn't want to hurt the other guy. It's not like he's in a fight or anything. He doesn't want to hurt him. He just wants to be nice and be friends. I like Robert Valentin too, but you're fighting him. You're a fighter. Fight. How many strikes did Finney land? 17. 17 total strikes. 4 significant strikes. If I had the positions that he was in on top, I'm landing more strikes than that. I've trained kickboxing for 3 months. I would land more strikes than that if I'm in that fucking top position, bro. He said, yeah, I planned for more ground and pound. No, you didn't. You had plenty of opportunity. Valentin was obviously trying to hit him off his back, and I get it. He didn't want to get caught in the guard of Valentin. He didn't want to get caught with an elbow off bottom because Valentin was really trying to fight like a real fighter. But no, Torrez Finney wanted to lay there and hold his hips and lay in half guard and just basically just sit there. He wanted to sit there. That's why he had over 13 minutes of control time. We'll get to Pat Sabatini in a little bit. But Valentin, he needs to have better takedown defense. But against guys as strong and as big as Torrez Finney, I think he expected Finney to get the takedowns and then go for ground and pound, and that's where Valentin was going to take advantages. And I get you can't just lay there and then not throw anything. And then you can't just lay there, not land anything, and then the ref doesn't separate it until the third round? Get involved! What are we doing? Why is this being rewarded? Why is this cowardice? This fucking bitch-made style of fighting? Why is this rewarded? Why is this encouraged? The rules need to be changed. There needs to be something. Torrez Finney needs to be, you cannot do this. He needs to be the, what you cannot be in the UFC. He needs to be that example. He needs to be that fucking spokesperson. He needs to be the, don't do this in the UFC. That's what he needs to be. I don't want to see him again. Do I want to watch him again? I'm watching. And this is what you have on. You have Torrez Finney versus Robert Valentin on. You know what's on at the same time? March Madness Final 4. At the same exact time. The UFC had to put the card at 6 p.m., 9 p.m. You couldn't put it at 7 o'clock and 4 o'clock like you usually do. You just had to put it at 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. the same time as the Final 4 games at 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. I had to run upstairs to watch the end of the Duke-Houston game just so that I could run back downstairs and watch Josh Emmett versus Lerone Murphy. After the Brito Sabatini performance, that was lovely, wasn't it? So these are the fights that we're getting. We're getting Murphy and Emmett. We're getting Brito and Sabatini. We're getting Finney and Valentin. All of these should have been fun fights. But they were brutally boring. Brutally boring. You're trying to entertain people. You have this on at the same time as Final 4, March Madness. And this is what people are watching? You really don't think this is a business problem for the UFC? Even the cat agrees with me. I mean, this is just ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Hopefully Valentin doesn't get cut. He was actually trying to fight. He was landing more whenever they were on the feet for the minute and a half that they were on the feet for. And he was trying to land elbows off bottom and strikes off bottom. And, he would, land a few, but it was just sad. It was sad to watch. It was really sad. And I really hope Torrez Finney gets cut. If he doesn't, maybe you should match him up with, Joe Pyfer. Or just someone who's going to kill him, please. Hopefully someone who's just going to, kill him. Do you have anything to say to Torrez Finney, Simba? Exactly. Moving up the card. Good job. Ode Osbourne versus Luis Garul. Okay, so Ode Osbourne fraud checked Garul. Garul didn't really look that great. Ode Osbourne, I wasn't shocked at this because Ode is athletic and he does have skills, and he did have a really close fight with Ronaldo Rodriguez, but again, that didn't age well after what we just saw from Ronaldo Rodriguez on the Mexico card last week. But, it was a pretty even fight. Ode was landing bigger shots, and then he just had a sick pullback counter right, finished it with that. And Garul, I thought ref should have stepped in early, but then Ode Osbourne kind of had mercy for him on the ground, but ref finally stepped in after a couple more strikes because Garul started to finally get up after he was absolutely out for at least a second. But, great KO win from Ode Osbourne. He saves his job. Same with Reese McKee. They both saved their job. I just love when, journeymen who can't win in the UFC beat prospects. I love it. It's so great for the sport. But yeah, Ode Osbourne, decent win, not decent. It was a great win. He got a fantastic KO finish. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. This card completely fried my fucking brain. But, all right. Moving up the card, Brad Tavares versus Gerald Meerschaert. All right, this was a classic, guys. The classic gatekeeper fight. It was actually pretty fun compared to the rest of the fights on the card. GM3 obviously won round 3. Tavares did more in rounds 1 and 2. It was a good fight. Good little scrap. But, I felt like Tavares was just slow. Like, Mearshart, like, obviously Tavares isn't the fastest guy, and these are unranked middleweights. They're not going to be the most skilled guys in the world. But Mearshart's walking in with two big left hands, two big overhands, just walking in. And Tavares can't time it. He can't counter. He can't pull back. He can't even just get out of the way and then take him down. Like, I just don't understand what goes through his mind during this fight. You know, and Mearshart's just not good enough on the feet. I mean, he's just not. You know, he's a legend. I love me some Gerald Mearshart, some GM3, but, you know, I mean, Tavares is slightly better than Gerald Mearshart. I'm shocked these two haven't fought before. I think I said that in my predictions video. But, I mean, you know, decent win from Tavares. It was close. I had it 1-2 Tavares. A lot of people did. I think he should have. But GM3 won round 3, and it was close. But yeah, I mean, good win from Brad Tavares. I just feel like he should be quicker on the feet. I mean, GM3 is slow and old on the feet. You know, Tavares is a little old too, but be a little more active, man. Do something. All right, moving up the card. Cortavius Romeus versus Cheng Ho Lee. I love me some Cheng Ho Lee now. All right, this dude looked great. He was brutal. He was active. He was throwing shots. Cortavius Romeus, I don't understand how he's in the UFC. He's not, like, terrible because he's athletic and he's got speed and he's got, you know, some skill. But I just feel like he just doesn't have that grit or that will or just anything to be a real, like, top dog. I mean, he's 0-2 in the UFC now. You know, and I think he had an average performance on the Dana White's Contender Series. Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else, but I feel like he had an average performance, got into the UFC just because he was okay, and then he's looked bad. I mean, yeah, I don't know. But, yeah, Cortavius Romeus did not look good. Cheng Ho Lee, he was great. I mean, you know, he would get inside into elbow range and would take a shot, give 3. Like, that's what I loved about him. He was active. He was, you know, he was chasing takedowns. He was going for it. He was trying to put Romeus on his back and put him out. And that's what he did ultimately with the elbows. I don't think he put him out cold, but he was brutally beating him up, and I'm glad the ref stopped the fight. Like, because Romeus was just a helpless fish on the ground while Cheng Ho Lee was landing brutal elbows to Romeus's dome. But, I mean, Cheng Ho Lee looked great. I mean, he really did. And this is someone I'm excited for now at bantamweight. We finally get, you know, another prospect this year who steps in at bantamweight and looks really good. And I'm excited to see what he does next. I'm hoping that they do a card in Japan, and obviously he's Korean, but I would, you know, you can put him on that card, similar fan bases. But, like, you know, or Singapore, go to Singapore again. Okay, Singapore was always great. The last one they did was TKZ versus Holloway. That was a fantastic event. I just, you know, I think they should do that. But Cheng Ho Lee, great win. I can't wait to see what he does next. Fun fighter. Cortavius Romeus should be cut. And yeah, I mean, Cheng Ho Lee came out there to entertain the audience, and it's exactly what he did. Thank you, compared to everybody else on this card. Thank you, Cheng Ho Lee. See, when he agrees with me, he comes down here. Moving up the card, Pat Sabatini versus Joe Anderson Brito, the co-main event. At least Sabatini was more active on the ground. Like, at least he was going for ground and pound, and he went for a finish at one point in the 3rd round for a submission. But, I mean, Brito, how did he beat Diego Lopez? How did this guy beat Diego Lopez? Because I saw Diego Lopez absolutely starch Pat Sabatini in, what, 2 minutes? A minute? Was it at MSG? But then this is what Brito, this is the performance he puts on. I like Joannis and Berto too. I feel like since that loss to William Gomez, he's looked regressed. I mean, he has. I feel like that loss took it out of him a little bit. I feel like that, like, kind of, that took him out, of his run a little bit. And Joannis and Berto is very good, but I feel like it took his grit away a little bit because he did get robbed in that fight. I mean, I had Joannis and Berto winning, and William Gomez was running away the whole time on the Paris card earlier this year. But Brito, he looked terrible in this fight. I mean, he just could not defend a takedown for his life. Pat Sabatini smudged him on the ground, beat him up with ground and pound in moments, especially towards the end of the first. For the first, 3.5, 4 minutes of the first round, Sabatini's just kind of laying on him while Brito gets taken down, and then he just puts his hand, his arm around in a one-arm guillotine and has, no actual submission ability from there. But for some reason, the commentators and judges and ref counted it as a submission attempt. Made absolutely no sense. The cat is crawling above my screen. You cannot do that. But I mean, it was a good win from Pat Sabatini, and he's gonna get a shot at the ranking. I mean, he's 7-2 in the UFC now. This guy's, he's probably gonna get a ranked opponent next, if not ranked. High level unranked guy. So, good win from Sabatini. He dominated, and he at least went for ground and pound, especially towards the end of the first. And then Brito was trying to land hammer fists off his back, but then Sabatini just kind of rolled it out through the entire fight. And Brito, I mean, he had that one time where he, kind of got the guillotine in there with one arm. But it was obvious Sabatini was going to get out. I mean, there was no way that guillotine would have gotten finished unless Brito actually locked up the grip. So, yeah, more control time from Pat Sabatini in the Torrez Finney fight. Shocker. But, yeah, I guess good win from Pat Sabatini. I was expecting fireworks in this fight because Sabatini is generally somewhat fun, and Brito's always fun. But this fight sucked as well, to be honest. Moving up the card, another fight that sucked. The main event, Josh Emmett versus Lerone Murphy. I'm hearing all the good things about, Lerone Murphy, how this was a good performance, and now how this is how you have to fight against Josh Emmett. This is how you have to fight against Josh Emmett. You can't get too close in his range, which is true for Lerone Murphy because he tried to in the first minute of the fight, got cracked with one right hand, and Lerone was winning in most of the boxing exchanges. Now, you can be winning against Josh Emmett and then get caught and get put out. Lerone Murphy did get dropped in his last fight. I'm not saying it wasn't a smart game plan from Lerone Murphy. And that fight wasn't too long ago. It was in late October in the Abu Dhabi card. But that doesn't change the fact the fight was boring and dull and completely uneventful. I'm sorry for saying this fight was going to be a war. It was the opposite. It was boring, it was slow, it was uneventful. Josh Emmett, what are you doing? Why are you complaining at the end of the fight, but then you throw 8 strikes in round 2, and 2 significant strikes, I believe it was round 2. But you had to complain at the end of the fight. I also don't understand how he was going against why Emmett was going for takedowns. Like, I get it because Lerone Murphy, but Lerone Murphy's a decent grappler. I don't know. Emmett was doing decent in the grappling. I mean, he was. And generally, that's not going to be his game at all. But, I get that he kind of felt that he had to because, Murphy was just standing there, and anytime Emmett would crack him with a right hand, 3 total times in the fight. Whoa. Because most of the fucking punches were landing on the guard of Lerone Murphy. And Murphy, I just don't understand how Murphy was winning in almost all of the boxing exchanges. But then he just kind of avoided it. He got cracked by one right hand, and he's like, oh, well, I'm not going to have that happen again. And then for the other 23 minutes of the fight, he didn't want to get touched by Josh Emmett. He was absolutely terrified of Josh Emmett in terms of his power. But, I mean, we've seen guys brutalize Josh Emmett. You don't have to just dance around him the whole fight for 5 rounds and then get the win. Jeremy Stevens slept Josh Emmett. Ilia Topuria brutalized Josh Emmett. Emmett would throw his 2 big overhands. Ilia slide out, slide to the left. Boom, 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 uppercut to finish it. Another knockdown from Ilia Topuria. I'm remembering, That's what Ilya does. That's what the top featherweight contenders really do. That's what the champion does. Lerone Murphy, you're not getting a title shot after this fight, buddy. Especially because you're English. Okay, you know the UFC hates English fighters. He's not getting a title shot. I thought he was more exciting than this. The Dan Ige fight, the Barboza fight, both those recent 2 fights last year were great performances from Lerone Murphy. He came back against Edson Barboza, got a huge win, and then Barboza obviously looked a little slower. He looked a little aged in that fight. He needed to have it at some point. But then he goes in against Dan Ige. Dan Ige, coming off the Diego Lopez fight, he had a lot of momentum just because of his likability at that point. And it was a close-ass fight, and Dan Ige is very good. Very good. But he went out there, and he looked like Leon Edwards. I mean, he just looked like Leon Edwards. He went out there, he fought like Leon, he looked like Leon, and he's just the same. I mean, he's from Manchester. Obviously, Leon, I believe he's from Manchester. Maybe. You know, Lerone's got a great story. He got shot in the face. That's fucking crazy. I guess he's more scared of a Josh Emmett right hand. I don't know. Oh, my God. I just don't understand why he walked out there and looked like Leon. You can brutalize Josh Emmett. You can slip out of his overhands and get out of the boxing exchanges and then piece him up. He's there to be hit after that, especially if you do it across the rounds. If you can just piece him up a little bit in rounds 1 and 2, easier said than done. But if you want to be a featherweight champion, try and do something similar to what Ilia Topuria did. Now, Ilya's a generational talent. We know this. But Lerone Murphy, you're 16-0-1. Like, are we not going to think that you're a really good talent? Should you not have a really good performance against Josh Emmett? I mean, he won 49-46. But it was boring. People are going to remember that it was dull and uneventful, and it wasn't a war, as a lot of us thought it would be, especially in an Apex. Imagine if this was in a fight. Imagine if this was a crowded fight night main event. Imagine. The Apex, imagine it would have been a larger octagon. It would have been a 15-foot octagon rather than a 10-foot octagon. Josh Emmett would have landed 10 total strikes that fight. He would have thrown 30. Lerone would have landed 50 strikes rather than the 117 numbers and the 44 numbers for Josh Emmett. These cards are unbearable. There hasn't been a truly great main event this year. There really hasn't. Let's go through. Mackenzie Dern, Amanda Ribas. Let's be real here. Islam versus Moicano dominates in a minute. Kind of uneventful. And it's doesn't really mean anything for the division because it was Moicano. It wasn't Arman. And then the week after, or 2 weeks later, Imavov versus Izzy. Fantastic fight. Got finished too early. I'm not saying the stoppage was early, but it got stopped early in the second round because Imavov fucking knocked him out. But it was a great fight. Crazy event. Fun. And it was a good event, but, it didn't go on for very long. And then the week after that, Dricus versus Strickland. Dricus just dominated the whole time. That 3-week period was okay. February 1st, Izzy Imavov. Then you had Strickland DDP. The card sucked, but the Whaley Torrez fight wasn't bad. And then Dricus versus Strickland. And then the week after was Cannonier Rodriguez, which was a really good fight. Then after that, man, since then, it's just been a shit show. It's been a fucking shit show. The week after that was the Seattle card. A lot of us were excited for that card. Got torn apart last second because everybody had to pull out. Henry Cejudo gets eye-poked in the main event. Main event gets ruined. Week after that, Cap versus Almabayev. Thanks. Wow, we just saw an event fall apart. Now you ready to watch an Apex card with 2 top 7 flyweights? I loved watching Manel Cap piece up Almabayev. But Imagine if Almabeyev laid on him for 5 rounds. And then the week after, Ankalaev Pereira. I wonder why that main event was boring, huh? You should probably go watch back my video. And then, what was the week after that? Oh, Dolidze Vittori. I nearly forgot. I should have forgot. The week after that, the London card. Sean Brady dominates. Kind of boring, but gets a submission late in the fight. Leon looks terrible. Week after that, the Mexico card. Urseg is fucking tippy-tappy. I'm not going to hurt Moreno. And then Moreno lands some decent boxing shots. But for a flyweight fight, that's boring. For a flyweight fight, that was boring. It was uneventful. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. And it didn't mean anything for the division. That fight does nothing for the division. And then now we get this fucking shit. Terrible card. We need UFC Miami to save us. Thank God it's this week. Like, we're going to get 2 weeks off from the UFC. Sad, but not really because it sucked recently. But this card, I just hope it brings us joy again as MMA fans. Because this card was the exact opposite. It brought us just hatred. Okay. Well, I got that out. And I think that's going to be it for me. I don't want to talk about this card anymore. Trash card. I mean, a few decent fights, to be realistic. I don't want to be completely overdramatic here. There were some decent fights. Chang Ho Lee, one of the few bright spots on this card. He got a performance bonus. Fight of the night. Which one was fight of the night? I'm trying to look through the card and remind myself which one won fight of the night. I don't even remember. None of the fights were good. I don't even think there was a fight of the night. I just think there were a few performance bonuses. Alright, whatever. That'll be it for me. I'm done. Terrible card. Yeah, let's go UFC Miami. I'll be releasing that video at some point this week. Hopefully midweek. I'll release that video and we'll get going onto that card. Very excited. Have a good one. Hello, Simba. Yep. Bye. Have a good one.